When doing GPS line work, it is important to note that there are three different types of line work: straight lines, splines, and three-point arcs. Before you shoot your first point, it is best to choose a description. Do this by selecting the Description button to bring up the AutoMap library. Here you'll see a list of point descriptions. Select the description you want from the list, or enter a new one by pressing the Add button. For this example, we will use a garden. When you have your desired description, press the Select button. You will then be returned to the Map View screen. Notice how the description you selected now appears in the bottom right button. You will also notice that the Line button is already selected. That is because our chosen description of Garden is configured for line work. If this button wasn't automatically checked and you wanted to do line work, you would simply select the button. Move your rover to the first point of an object you wish to measure and press the Measure button. Then store your point. On the Store Point screen, you will enter a point ID number. If this is the first point in your project, it will default as 1. Otherwise, it will default as the next sequential number. In the upper right corner, the button corresponding with your chosen type of line work will be selected. If you wish to change the line work mode, simply select one of the other modes from the screen. The description field will automatically be filled out with the description you previously chose. Be sure not to change your description until you're finished measuring the object. If necessary, you have the option to select the List button to return to the AutoMap library to choose a new description. Selecting the Advanced button will take you to the Advanced Settings screen, where you can edit specialized characteristics of the points being saved to the database. For a more detailed explanation of these features, please refer to the NavCom Field Genius User Guide. Select Store Point to return to the Map View screen. Then move the rover to the next sequential point of the object and press the Measure button again. On the Store Point screen, you will notice that NavCom Field Genius has already assigned the point the next sequential point ID number. Continue doing this for all the corners of your object. After you measure the last corner, select the Figure button in the bottom right corner. You will notice that the button is displaying the name of the current figure you are measuring. This will take you to the Figure List screen. Choose the figure you were just measuring from the list and select Close Figure. Then select OK to return to the Map View screen. You will now notice that NavCom Field Genius has created a line between your first and last point of the object, finishing off its shape. For objects with curves, you will need to use either the Spline or three-point arc buttons. In this example, we will be measuring a curb. First, you will want to change your object description by selecting the Description button and choosing your desired description, or in this case, a curb. When you are back on the map view, you can begin measuring your first point. You will notice the Straight Line button is already selected. For the purpose of this demonstration, we will start with the Straight Line section of a curb. Align your rover with the beginning of the Straight Line section of the curb. Then press the Measure button. Store the point and you'll be taken back to the Map View screen. Now move your rover to the end of the straight section of the curb and measure your second point. Now you have reached the beginning of an arc. Move your rover to the midpoint of the arc and select the three-point arc button. Now you can go ahead and measure a point at the midpoint of the arc. When you return to the Map View screen, you will see that the Straight Line button is selected. Move your rover to the end of the arc and measure the position. When you return to the Map View screen, you will see an arced line going through those 3 points. You will notice that the Figure button still displays the curb, indicating that NavCom Field Genius is still drawing the figure of a curb. If you wish to stop drawing a figure and move on to a different one, simply select the Line button, and you will see that the Figure button displays No Line, indicating that your next point will not be connected to any pre-existing figures. The last type of line is the Spline. This option is used when you measure an object that has a wavy edge to it. To use the spline, first choose a description of the object you're measuring. For this demonstration, we will use garden again. On the map view screen, you'll notice that the line button is activated and not the spline button. Measure your first point using these settings. Once you move to your second point, select the spline button before you take your measurement. Continue measuring points along the wavy edge of your object. When you are done measuring the object, turn off Linework by pressing the spline button. You will now see the curvy edge of your object on the map view. It is important to note that the Linework in NavCom Field Genius honors elevation. This means that each of your points will be a smooth transition between elevations and not just in the X and Y coordinates.